The Birds, a film penned by Evan Hunter and based on the story with the same title by Daphne du Maurier. And it is, of course, most well known for being directed and produced by the one and only Alfred Hitchcock. I saw this film once or twice when I was a kid, but didn't really remember it. Everyone talks about how impactful The Birds was, and how it was so scary. So I decided to revisit it and see how well this film holds up. The Birds stars Tippi Hedren as Melanie Daniels and Rod Taylor as Mitch Brenner. After meeting Mitch in a bird shop, Melanie decides to drive up to the small town of Bodega Bay, where Mitch is staying for the weekend in order to surprise him with a pair of lovebirds he wanted. While there, however, all birds become hostile and start terrorizing the town as chaos ensues. Hitchcock draws some solid performance out of most of his actors. Solid performances are given from both the lead actors and a lot of the supporting actors. I also think it goes without saying that Hitchcock builds tension exceptionally well here, both within a scene and throughout the entirety of the picture. There are moments that are generally still freaky, whether it be this shot or the way Mitch grabs this bird. The lack of score only adds to the tension, which may be a surprise, as I am normally a huge fan of the power of a good score. But the lack of music here really adds more than it detracts. The effects for the time were groundbreaking, and there are still some that hold up really well. I think all the dialogue in the film is well written, and the scenes themselves are well paced, even if they are on the slower side. The greatest strength of the writing outside of the dialogue is the way the characters' backstories and motivations are revealed to the audience. The cinematography is also solid as expected. There are some really beautiful and really menacing shots in the film, so great job there. Another minor point I want to make before we move on is that I love the focus of the birds throughout the entire film. From one of the first shots to the lovebirds to even the order of the restaurant being fried chicken, the film is relentless with keeping the audience's focus on birds. While both Tippi Hedren and Rod Taylor do a solid job, as I mentioned earlier, they have no chemistry together, to put it bluntly. It's pretty obvious, and it's a shame, as maybe a better pairing could have helped this film out a lot. This isn't helped by the fact that their relationship is really rushed. The other problem with the acting is that there are definitely a few performances, mostly from side characters, that are just flat out bad. I mean, there was more than one occasion during the film where I just broke out laughing because a line was delivered so poorly. So let's go on to my biggest issue with The Birds, and that is that nothing really happens. Now, not every story necessarily needs characters that change drastically from start to finish. The vast majority of stories focus on this, but every rule of storytelling has its exceptions. Unfortunately, The Birds is not a film that this exception works. The film basically boils down to birds attack and cause some disasters. The characters run and get attacked again, run and attacked again, run and attacked again, run and attacked again, and then they leave. That's it. This film is all glamour and no substance. But speaking of the glamour, it's kind of worn off. Now, to be fair, as of this review, the film is over half a century old, so it's understandable that the effects are dated, and I won't knock it for that, as that wouldn't really be fair. And there are instances where they do hold up surprisingly well. With that being said, that glamour I was talking about has worn off, and the story we are left with is unspectacular. While the scenes themselves are well paced, the film is horrendously paced as a whole. While I can get behind a 90-minute disaster or thriller with little character development, at least to a degree, it's harder for me to buy into a 2-hour movie that's focus is not on the characters. My final major issue with The Birds is the fact that they never reveal why the birds are attacking. They just expect you to roll with it. And maybe if the rest of the film and the story was better, I would have been able to, but it was still super disappointing as it was one of the pieces of the story that really had me intrigued. I can respect and appreciate the legacy of this film, but I'm not here to judge its legacy. I'm here to judge the film itself. I know this opinion is going to be an unpopular one, but to me, I can't really justify giving it anything higher than a 6 out of 10. I mean, it would have been really easy for me to slap an 8 or a 9 out of 10 on it and talk about how iconic of a film it is. But truthfully, I just don't think it's a very good story, which is now more apparent than ever seeing as the effects have worn off.